My job now is really being a bridge between Google DeepMind's research efforts, our engineering and product teams, DevRel, and all of the millions of developers trying to figure out how you go from cool demo to production systems. And so I've been excited to dive in more there and both learn and teach people about how to be successful.
Well, that's kind of where I wanted to go with this conversation for starters, because you're my touchstone. There are people who are out there so leaning into the YOLO, you just let the agents rip. But if you're really trying to build reliable, secure code that's going to touch perhaps billions of users, how much of that can you do?
I tend to think that I like to think in terms of spectrums, right? There's an end of the spectrum that is very much Wild West. And I tend to think of folks who are solo founders or very small teams, the idea of them having hundreds or thousands of agents that they're running, perhaps without necessarily even reviewing the code. Like that is one workflow. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where maybe you have a slightly more modest, reasonable setup, and that has quality gates. Maybe it's not as high velocity as the solo founder path, but it does come with the idea of keeping long-term technical maintenance in mind, reliability in mind, scale, like all of the policies and things that enterprises need to think about. So I guess zooming out real quick, we're in a really interesting moment of time. A year ago, a year or two ago, you were largely just getting one task done at a time. And today we have frameworks and tools and patterns that really support true multi-agent orchestration. So agents that can spawn other agents, communicate with each other, work in parallel, self-coordinate. And what I tend to tell people who are in enterprise, who are in even like small to medium-sized companies, is that the real frontier for businesses is not necessarily having hundreds of agents for a task just for its own sake. It's about orchestrating a modest set of agents that solve real problems while maintaining control and traceability. I think that those pieces are very important. If you happen to be using, a stack like what Google Cloud offers, maybe you're using our agent development kit, for example, right? And it supports different categories that reflect this. You might have LLM agents for reasoning and decision making. You might have workflow agents for deterministic control, so like sequential, parallel, loops, things like that. And you might have custom agents that you write yourself. And I think that there's a philosophy around these that matters. Like we deliberately support both orchestrated control and dynamic autonomy in the same system. So you get to choose. Are you opting for determinism in your pipelines where predictability matters? Or do you need to mix things up? Almost nobody's figured out how to make everything work together as smoothly as possible. We're getting as close to that as we can. And that's the actual hard problem here, I think, not generation, but coordination.